Good morning, good morning. Welcome back to another episode here on Mzansi Confession. The following confession that you are going to hear is a narration of a story that I received on Facebook. It's about a guy who is claiming that he killed a Zama, and that Zama that he killed is troubling him. So listen to his confession. His confession read like this. Hello, my brother. Can you please post for me as anonymous? I grew up in South Africa. We came here when I was still young. My father fled from Lesotho because he was a political prisoner, so he came here and claimed to be a refugee. But when he came here, he began to work and he dumped my mother and he went for another woman. Growing up, life was a big struggle. This led me to become a Zama. It was because of my friend. He told me that there was big money that could be made if you become a Zama, but the whole thing was just a scam. There is no big money. The only big money is made by the big dogs. If you are just a digger, you don't make anything. Sometimes I could get out of that hole and find out that for the whole night I have made 50 rand only, and I had to use that money to buy dacha and some alcohol. Life was just difficult for me. I know that once you become a Zama, you always become a Zama. I also know that what I did was wrong and I pleaded guilty in court. Now I am out, even though I am still awaiting my trial. The difficult part is that each and every day I have to travel to the police station and to report that I have not run away. I am not proud of this whole situation. What happened is that in 2008 I found myself in the streets of Joburg. I was homeless and hungry. To steal was not an option for me because my father was a noble man. When in church, my father used to preach about people living an upright life, but he himself, the way that he dumped us, me and my mother and my siblings, and ran away with another woman, it just made me question the very existence of God. After my father had dumped us, life became so hard. I tried to work. I even tried to do some piece jobs, going into the suburbs and cleaning people's houses. But the day that I stopped working these types of jobs is when my boss came back from work and he called me. Asked me why hadn't I cleaned his car. I tried to explain to him that it had been raining the whole day, so I didn't find the time to do it. He was so angry at me and he started to shout and he said, "You bloody dumb cop, you." The meaning was that I was just like a baboon. I had no understanding. I just left everything and I walked away. Then I started working for this other security company, but I regret ever working for that company. In the beginning, that company was called FPS. I think now it has changed its name. That company is still scamming people. It goes around looking for people. Then you work. The first time that you work, this guy will promise you a lot of money and he will tell you that he will give you your money on the 27th of the month. When the 27th arrives, then he will tell you that at the bank there is a big queue. Then he gives you only half a salary. Then the next month he won't give you anything. He will keep on promising you that I'm going to pay you. Then the third month or the fourth month or any time that he wants to fire you, like on my case, what he did to me, I had gone so many days without eating anything, so I was so hungry. The day that I went to work, I really felt that this day I was so hungry. I was sitting on the post, then I fell asleep. But what I didn't know is that he had changed his car and he was parking somewhere and waiting for me with a big shambok. The moment that I fell asleep, he just came running and he hit me with that shambok and he told me that I've caught you sleeping on the job. You're not gonna get paid for all your work because it means that you have been sleeping. I tried to negotiate with him and I told him that I haven't eaten anything in a couple of days. I am so tired. Can you just please pay me the money? I still need this job. But he told me that I can go anywhere that I want. I'm not gonna get paid for call. This guy, the owner of the company, and the other white guy who was acting as a supervisor, they used to go to this church. This church, there are a lot of refugees there, so they always found people who are willing to work. But after working, those guys, they will just chase them away. So later on, I spoke with my other friends and he told me that there was work somewhere. So I asked someone for money. But as soon as I had arrived at that place, I realized that my friend had switched off off his phone for me. At first I thought it was the signal problem, but later on I realized that indeed he was just ghosting me. For the whole week I had to sleep under the bridge. Then at night I would go to a recycle bin that was near KFC. There is where I would find my next day meal. Life was so hard for me. I even tried to start my own business whereby I will direct people who will be parking in the street, but then I realized that each and every street in Joburg is controlled by someone. You cannot just go and start your own business. It was so difficult for me. Almost each and every night, people would fight for the best leftovers that will be found in the KFC recycle bin. Even the girls, they would come and line up there just waiting for someone to find a good leftover. Then they will trade with that leftover for sex. Life was just so difficult in Joburg. Then when I met these two boys who said they were coming from Maseru, they told me that sometimes they go into the mines and search for gold. Ever since I heard about gold, I told myself that life was now going to change. Each and every time that I will pass through a castle, I will just tell myself I'm going to drive that Toyota Fortuner. Always I had a dream of driving a Toyota Fortuner. When you are deep into poverty and if someone flashes for you a 20 rand, even 100 rand, immediately you will follow what that person is telling you to do. These guys, they seemed to have it all. Then they invited me to their place, which was in Bramfisher. I moved in with them and I will stay behind while they will go for 3 weeks or 6 weeks underground. So basically I would look after their place. 6 weeks later they will come with a lot of money, but very dirty and smelling and confused if it was daytime or if it was night time. Fast forward to me becoming a Zama. I also wanted this life because the money seemed as if it was so good. I begged them to join the squad, and at first they would decline till one day they agreed to go with me. This is illegal mining done with no machinery and safety precautions. There are no safety precautions at all. As you enter the mine, you go through a hole, and remember, these are old mines that are dumped. Some of these mines were dumped a long time ago, some of them even 100 years ago. What people don't understand about the mind of a Zama is that once you go down into this mine, something changes in you. You automatically become like an animal, because down there it is the survival of the fittest. There are roads underground, but sometimes if you can make a wrong step, you can fall straight into the heart of the earth and never be found again, and no one cares. These guys from Maseru, in the beginning I thought that they were really good guys, but their character, I really saw their bad character when we were going down underground. One of them just said to me, "Do you know the first rule of becoming a good Zama?" Then I said, "I don't know." And he said to me, "For you to become a good Zama, the weakest will be left behind. Are you weak or you are strong?" And he just left out a very evil laughter. He didn't even care about how I was going to respond or what. He just looked away and laughed. It was very dark down there, and we would carry torches to see the way. You don't bath and our phones will die. Then you will lose track of time or days. There are groups in the mines, and these are dangerous. In order to survive, you need to be part of a gang or a group. It's just a different world down there. There are new rules down there. People always say that prison life is very hard, but for me, I beg to differ. The moment that you go underground as a Zama, your life becomes worthless. Human life down there doesn't matter. So one day, my group, we found a place that had gold. So as we were digging, then another group came and we started fighting. They wanted to take what belonged to us, and it was dark as usual. We got attacked by a group of men from Maputo. The fight was so big such that we were fighting, all of us, each person fighting the enemy. Now we were in a very narrow place, and on my left there was a big hole hole, and on my right another big hole. This guy from Maputo came right straight to me with a very sharp knife. He wanted to stab me on my neck. The situation was very tough. The reason why I blame my father is that I don't think that I'll ever become a normal human being again because of the things that I saw down there. It was like it was just normal. Down there was a guy, I think he had been dead for weeks or so. He was rotten, he was smelling, but no one cared. People were just fighting, even falling on top of his body. Back to my situation, I then noticed that it was a do or die situation. No one was going to go out of this situation alive. It was me or this guy from Maputo. So I pushed him and he fell right on top of the rock. He was very strong. He came back again trying to stab me. Then I took the knife from him and I stabbed him on the left arm from the front to the back. I saw him falling down and struggling to gasp for air till he was quiet. I couldn't believe it. I was shaking. It was my first time that I had killed another human being. As soon as my gang saw that I had killed him, we left the mine and we went back home. The worst thing that can ever happen to me is when load shedding happens at night. I am afraid of the dark because I keep on seeing this guy. From that day up until today, it is a struggle for me to fall asleep. The other guys then pulled their brother outside to the ground. Then news spread. Yes, he was dead indeed. I had to leave Gauteng before the police chased me. I got on a bus to Lesotho. We drove all the way to the border. I got off the bus by the border gate. I had spoken to my uncle in Lesotho and he had made a passageway for me to go back to Lesotho. As soon as I had gone out of the bus, I saw him. He was looking at me with his arm holding the knife where I had stabbed him, and he had blood all over his body. He said nothing and still continued to cry, and he was crying tears of blood. I was so scared and I failed to go back to the bus. I just went into the toilet and I stopped, and then people around me began to notice. I told them about the man who was standing in front of the bus. Luckily enough, I then noticed that the driver was speaking to the police. Then I just boarded another taxi and I came back to Jozi. I was arrested and I went to jail. Up until today, I don't sleep and I still see this man even during the day. Please help me. I can't even sleep being in jail, and now I am out. I thought that I had paid my sins, but my sins are unpayable. I am only still a young man. I haven't even started my life, but I just feel that this is the end of my own life. Each and every day when I go to the police station to report that I have not ran away, I always look at these tall Joburg buildings and I always think that if I can, I'll go to the top of the tallest building and just throw myself to the ground. In short, my brother, I've been thinking about ending my own life. There was a time when I went and I reported to the police station. I told them that arrest me and put me back in prison because already in my mind I am in prison. I'm not free to go out of the province. I don't have a job. I have nothing. I'm just moving around each and every day. I have to plan that the next day I have to go back to the police station. This is my own story, my brother. Dear listeners, I want to thank one of our admins. She helped me to translate this confession that you have just heard. Let's meet again in the following episode.